everyone, Charles here, and we're with Extreme Online Store, and we've got our EOS 2020 to 2025 Corvette C8 Stingray Z06, Z07, and E-Ray carbon fiber high wing right here, guys. This is a product I know many of you have been waiting for, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna take you guys all the way from A to Z on this install. So we're gonna talk about the tools that you need, how you're gonna put the car on the lift, and that's why it's not behind me, and exactly where each bolt goes on this kit. So again, we're gonna be as detailed as possible so that you guys do this in one shot and make sure that it looks stellar on your Corvette. So again, guys, there are two versions of this wing. There is a wide body, which is the Z06 and E-Ray, which is what it came on originally. And if you have a Stingray, we do make a version that fits on the Stingray specifically, and both are different part numbers. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into this. And I want to explain all of the pieces that go together on this kit, and more importantly, where the hardware goes. Let's go over the tools that you're gonna need to go ahead and begin the install on your C8 carbon fiber high wing. So we're a little spoiled here at the shop. You know, we've got these electric zip guns here, but again, you guys can use hand tools if need be. This is gonna be the epoxy gun and the epoxy that you're gonna use on your main foil and your winglets. Trim removal tools here, and the sockets that we're gonna be using are an 8mm, a 10mm, a 4 and 5 millimeter Allen head, and a Torx bit that is going to be a T15 Torx. For our hand tool is gonna be this very long wrench. It is swivel and ratcheting, and it is a 10 and 8mm. A flat head here. I wanna show you guys these. These are from ZL1 add-ons. These are gonna be your pucks for lifting your C8 if you are using a lift. So if you're using a lift of any kind, you're gonna wanna buy these so you do not damage the underside of your car, and more importantly, don't drop that darn thing off the lift. So please invest into these. They are very cheap, and they're gonna save you a lot of hassle when lifting any type of C8, regardless of Stingray or Z06. We have our plastic protected socket. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the wheels to gain access to that rear bumper. Again, I'm just being safe. We know we work around a lot of exotic vehicles, so we're gonna use this protective socket here for the wheels. Last but not least, we do have some painter's tape. We're gonna go ahead and tape the front of the rear bumper and the rear of the rear bumper, so that when we pull the bumper off, and the tabs will more than likely touch the outside, it does not scratch the paint. Very expensive car. We want to take all precautions. So guys, that's it. We've got our wing, we've got our tool, the car is behind us. Let's go ahead and get it in the garage, and we're going to show you how to lift it.
I'm gonna show where to attach the jack pads on the vehicle. So all of the C8s are gonna have a little hole at the bottom of the chassis. That's where this mount is gonna attach to. So what you do is just put it in the hole, and then you twist it, and then it's gonna hold into the chassis. Alright guys, we're gonna start with the install. We're gonna start by removing the wheels on the vehicle. I have this 22mm socket. It's gonna be a protected socket so we don't scratch the wheels. Then we're gonna move on and remove the splash shield covers underneath the bumper. It has a splash shield cover right here at the bottom as well, and then we're gonna proceed and remove the bolts on the bumper. After removing the wheels, we're gonna go ahead and remove the rear fender liner in order to have access to the bolts at the bottom of the bumper. In order to do that, we're gonna go ahead and use the T15 third socket, a 7mm socket, and a plastic clip extractor tool as well. So the air duct is gonna have a 7mm bolt at the bottom as well. Then it's gonna have 3 clips on the inside holding the air duct connector. Just pull it back and it's gonna come right out. It has 2 plastic connectors. It's very hard to see them. One is gonna be on the top and the other one is gonna be at the back. We're gonna have to remove these 2 7mm bolts at the bottom of the fender liner, and then also it's gonna have another 2 T15 torque screws at the bottom. We have access to the screws at the bottom of the bumper. You're gonna have 2 7mm screws and 1 10mm nut at the very end. The last one is gonna be the 10mm nut at the very end.
All right, so Lester's gonna get started on the passenger side here. And just as a mental note, you do not need to remove the entire fender liner to gain access to the rear bumper. So just go ahead and fold it back and you'll have full access to everything that you need to get behind there. Just go ahead and repeat the process on the passenger side. And then from there, we're gonna go ahead and lower the car down and we're gonna tape up the bumper and the fender, and we're gonna show you how to do that. Now that we've got those bolts out, we're gonna go and lower the car. So guys, this is a convertible car. This is a HTC hardtop convertible model. It is not a coupe. The install process is nearly the same. So if you guys are wondering if you have a coupe with the removable top, it is the same process. All right, now that we've got the car lowered down, we're gonna go ahead and remove the rear panels here that are carpeted to gain access to the wiring. As I had mentioned previously, you're going to have to drill into the chassis. So by removing these panels, it's going to show us the wiring, as we do not want to drill into the wiring. There are a couple plastic screws just holding these panels in. You do not need to remove the side panels, so just the front and the rear. And go ahead and pull the weather trim. And now you will have access to your panels. Be careful when removing the rear panel, as there are electrical connectors for the interior lights, and they are located on the driver and passenger side, and just simply remove them. But please do not tug on that, as you do not want to break that wire harness. All right guys, so the main purpose why we removed the carpet from the trunk is to gain access to the rear of the chassis here. So there's an electrical black box as he's pointing towards right there, and we do not want to drill into that. We want to drill the bottom hole underneath that box, and there's going to be a total of 9 holes per side. So you can kind of see those holes right there, and again, those are for the mounting brackets on the wing. So both the bracket does attach. Both brackets do attach to the chassis as a true chassis mount wing. And again, you're going to want to watch and be very careful where you place these holes. And we're going to show you how to make those placements once we get the rear bumper off. Now that we've got our trunk carpet out of the way, we're going to go ahead and use some painter's tape. We made sure to get some thick painter's tape, and we're just going to go ahead and tape the outer seam and inner seam of the bumper where it meets the fender. Again, I do highly recommend this, because if you pull that bumper and the tab happens to catch the front of the fender, you're going to scratch your car if it's not PPF'd or ceramicked. We're going to go ahead and start the removal process of the rear bumper here, and we're going to start with the hidden part. So there is a T15 hidden to the side, so don't yank on that, and it is in the very corner of the bumper.
15 screws.
We're gonna have 16 T15 screws all along the top here. And just as we showed you, make sure not to miss that corner piece. Now that we have all of the bolts off for the bumper, we're gonna go ahead and carefully remove the bumper. You're gonna need some help doing this, and you're gonna want to go very slow as the electrical connections for the taillights and camera are still plugged in. You're gonna wanna get inside there. A headlight will be very useful in this case. And go ahead and disconnect the rear view camera, and passenger and driver taillights. And if you have a friend that isn't helping you with this project, go ahead and have another friend go grab a body stand so you have a place to put the rear bumper when you're ready. Nice. As some bonus B-roll, if you guys have never seen the rear of a C8 without the rear bumper, this is what it looks like. All right, guys, so this is for a model with a low wing. I can't speak on the high wing for the Stingray, but for the Z06 with the low wing, we're gonna have 10 10mm bolts that we need to remove to gain access to removing the rear wing. And as always, manufacturers will use an adhesive to keep the wing down, and you're gonna go ahead and either use fishing line or you can carefully pry it up. There are many ways of doing this. If you live in a hotter environment, it should come up pretty easily. If you live here where it's getting cold, I do recommend using some fishing line to go in between the cracks to break up the adhesive. So we've got our long 10 mil here with the swivel, and you can see why he's using that. We're gonna go ahead and remove the nuts that hold the wing on. And it's time to remove the lower wing here. This job has already been done, and we're doing it again so that we can walk you guys through this process. So this wing's adhesive is very weak, and it's gonna come off fairly easy. So don't think that it's gonna happen for you. So again, we have pulled this wing off before. We already did this job once, so we could help you guys out. And just like that, the OEM wing is off. And now you can kind of see where that carbon piece is gonna go in place of that wing. All right, moment of truth, guys. This is the bracket system that is set up on the passenger side, and I wanted to show you guys the fully assembled side before we start on the driver's side, and we'll walk you through it. And I'm gonna go slow to show you guys how exactly to put this thing on. I'm gonna get closer here, and we're gonna start at the bracket on the black plastic side. So Lester's gonna point out to there. So where do I mount the bracket? So you see this contour right there where he's pointing. You're gonna line that bracket up to the contour, and then there are slits at the top of the bracket that are gonna be able to accept those two riv nuts up top that mount that lower wing. You're gonna wanna follow those riv nuts and the contour of the black plastic liner right there. And then additional to it is the support bracket that actually drills into the fiberglass chassis of the car, as you can see there. And I want to demonstrate, guys, how tough this bracket is and how solid it is. Lester is going to pull on it, and he can actually move the car off the lift. So this system is real. It is not a gimmick. This is a real wing. I'm going to go on the back side of the car and show you guys the mounting hardware as well. We went ahead and used the supplied hardware from EOS, and we have a total of 7 of the M6 by 20 nut and bolt combination, and then 2 of the Allens in the support bracket. And again, we went ahead and marked our drill holes by placing the bracket against the chassis, and we'll go ahead and demonstrate that with the bracket on the driver's side. The brackets are labeled left and right, and again, it's nearly impossible to mismatch these brackets as they will only fit one way into those riv nuts. They will only fit one way in contour into the body as well. A quick note to make about tightening the hardware in the back on this plastic side. You do not want to torque on this. So good and tight is gonna be your best friend here. We did try to hit a torque wrench on this and tried to hit 5 foot-pounds. I suggest you don't do that. So we did it for you so you don't have to do it. Just get it nice and tight. And for added security, we went ahead and used blue Loctite, and we'll demonstrate that here on the driver's side bracket. Let's go ahead and we'll go into our driver's side bracket install. And again, it mimics the passenger side that we've already done here. And we just wanted to show you guys what it looks like completed, and we'll get it photographed and put in the description in the product page. So in Lester's hand, he has the driver's side main bracket here. And as you just saw, he went ahead and lined it up against the riv nut, and then there's a plastic dowel there. And again, it's nearly impossible to mess this up, guys. Just make sure you're aligned and pushed against that contour right there. And then we're gonna take a 3/16 drill bit, and then we're just gonna mark and make a small drill. Take it easy with the smaller one so that you can mark the hole. And then once you feel comfortable, go ahead, nice and easy through the plastic. We're gonna grab our M6 by 30 hardware with the locking washers and the nuts, and those are gonna be our main hardware to secure this first bracket. And we're gonna go ahead and place the lock washer against the bracket. All right, kind of hard to see again, guys. We're on the back side of the car, and we've got the hardware poking through here, and we're gonna dab each thread with some blue Loctite as shown here. Don't gotta go too crazy with it. Again, can't ever be too safe. And just as I mentioned before, good and tight is gonna be your spec on this. Please do not use a torque wrench. Don't use an inch pounder. Don't over tighten it either. And not to forget, there are 2 Allens, and those are gonna be M6 by 20s. And those are gonna thread in from the rear. The bracket is threaded on that side, so there's no need for a nut. And we're just gonna show you guys how tight is tight. Just snug is fine. Don't need to do any Hercules action here. Look at that. All right, guys, we're on our final leg here. So this is our additional support bracket. Slide it in to the main bracket, and the screw that we're gonna be using there is gonna be an M6 by 30. And just like that, we're gonna slide that in, and that's gonna naturally, again, line up on the fiberglass side of the chassis. So once you mount that screw in there, the bracket will naturally place itself against the chassis, and then you can make your small drill indentation before committing to the larger drill bit. And this is what it should look like before the hardware. And we'll go ahead and place the M6 by 30 hardware with the locking ring against the bracket and the nut on the backside. Once again, we'll be using Loctite. All right, so the reason why we removed the carpet also, we want to show you guys how close the drill bit can come to the wire harness here. So look at that. So you're going to want to make sure that wire harness is out of the way when you do make your drill, because the last thing you want to do is catch that harness there.
Alright guys, so now we're moving to the most difficult part of the job. So this is a custom job. So we actually have to make holes on the actual bumper of the vehicle. So as you guys can see right here, that's where your mounting bracket is gonna be sitting at. So what I did, I guide myself by this rivet right here on the actual car, and you can actually guide yourself by this mounting bracket on the actual bumper right here at the bottom. So this one has a little cut on the middle. So what I did, this hole right here is the one that is gonna connect with the second rivet, the two closest ones that you have on the actual card. You have to measure at least 2 inches from the white piece of the bumper at the back. And then what I did, I made a little hole at the center, so you guys can guide yourself and take the right measurements to see where the actual mounting bracket for the wing is gonna be sitting at on the vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and do the 2 guiding holes, so you guys can guide yourself by this mounting bracket. The mounting bracket is gonna have a center cut on the middle, and you can guide yourself by the hole on the outside of the cut, and how to measure at least 2 inches from the white portion of the bumper to the center. And that's where I made my little hole. Then what you guys do, you guys put the bumper on the actual vehicle with the brackets on, and then you can guide yourself and start making the cut to have the right fitment for the brackets. Now we have the bumper back on the vehicle. Now that I have my guiding hole on the bumper, I have access to the inside of the actual bumper. Now I can see where the mounting bracket at the bottom of the bumper is. So now what we can do, we can take some measurements to put the other bracket on top of the mounting bracket, and then you're gonna have access and see where you have to make the cut on the actual bumper. So we already did this for you guys. So what I'm gonna do now, this is the hole that we have on the actual card. That's where the mounting bracket is gonna be sitting at. So the 2 inches that we took from the white piece at the back to the center, if you look at the bottom, it's gonna look a little bit off, but actually the bracket, the mounting bracket, is gonna be sitting on this position, so it won't be actually off. You're gonna be able to clear the whole area and have a perfect fitment on the actual bracket. So I always recommend starting from the center. That's why I recommend doing at least 2 inches from the back. So that's gonna be the center position of the bracket, and then you can start working your area around it and have the perfect center hole to mount the bracket on the bumper. Here is the tool that we use. You guys can use either a Dremel or an air chisel. Just be very gentle and patient, because you don't want to mess it up. Take your time. It's gonna take a little while, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be worth it.
Thank you, Lester, for explaining on how he made those cuts, how you only get one chance at that. So just be careful and be patient. So at this point, he's gonna remove the bumper about halfway so we can go ahead and reattach the harness. We just wanted to set the bumper on the car to show you guys how to make those cuts in the bumper. So again, just go and reverse the entire process. Make sure to attach your rear view camera, the main harness, and the lights. So Lester's gonna go ahead and pull back that bumper, and he'll be reversing the process, connecting the main harness, the camera, and the tail lights. From here, we're gonna go ahead and show you guys how to mount one of the main wing brackets onto the chassis brackets. We're gonna be using 3 in a total of 6 of the M6 by 35 shank Allen screws. So now we're gonna go ahead and install the first half of the wing bracket on the support brackets here. So we've got 3 of our M6 by 35 shank Allens, and we did go ahead and put some blue Loctite on it, and go ahead and screw those down into the support brackets. Don't worry guys, if the hole is a little ugly or the brackets aren't finished very well, they will be covered by the carbon fiber wing stand. And just to show the driver's side, this is what it looks like when it is tightened down and completed. So you'll have a total of 6 bolts for the driver and the passenger. We're gonna go ahead and remove the tape in preparation for the carbon trim piece to go on. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and step over to the main wing foil to show you guys how to attach the winglets and the other half of the wing brackets. So to prep our mounting surface for the carbon trim piece, we're just gonna use some isopropyl alcohol here. So do not use detail spray, do not use brake cleaner, just use some alcohol wipes and go ahead and clean as much of that surface as possible so we have a good adhesion contact. Moving to the second half of the wing stand install, we've got our M6 by 25 Allen heads here going inside of our wing stand. And as you can see, the wing bracket will slide into the carbon fiber piece. And we went ahead and Loctited those as well. So taking this whole assembly, we're gonna go walk over to our wing foil and screw it in. So big note here guys, on the wing stands, make sure these holes are facing inside of the wing foil. So you shouldn't have any holes showing on the outside. To continue the install, we've got our massive carbon fiber cover here that's going to cover all of those bolt holes, guys. So as you can see, there are a ton of them, 16 of them, holes for the OEM wing, and this cover is going to go ahead and cover all of those holes. And additionally, it's got a very small ducktail to it, so it does have a small extension. I think it looks really cool and aesthetically pleasing. It does have pre-applied adhesive on it, so Lester's gone ahead and removed that, and this is going to be exactly in the center of the vehicle. And the best way to gauge it is the end pieces line up exactly where the bumper meets the body line. And again, we did prep the surface with alcohol to make sure that we were free of contaminants to have the best adhesion possible here. Moving towards the main foil of the wing, we do have our winglets here in the beautiful carbon fiber finish, and we're gonna show you guys how to attach it. So on this table here, we've got our 3M DP125 epoxy glue, a disposable cardboard piece, a stir stick, and some 400 grit sandpaper and block. We're gonna show you guys how to prep the surface to shoot this epoxy, and it is a little cold out here, so the activation time is a little longer. You wanna work with this product in about 70 degrees, and again, this epoxy is specially formulated for carbon fiber, and just a quick reminder, this epoxy is formulated for carbon fiber that has already been finished. Lester's gonna start by sanding the mounting surfaces of the winglet here with a 400 grit sandpaper while using a little water. And what we wanna do is we wanna remove all of the shine to reveal the layer of carbon fiber underneath so that we have a solid mounting surface. This is a very quick process. You guys do not want to dig too deep into the carbon fiber. We just want to get the surface rough enough so that the glue will adhere to the winglet. And just with about 1 minute of sanding it, you can already tell that the shiny surface has been removed, and now we have a more abrasive surface for the glue to stick. With the wing facing upward, we're going to show you the mounting side on the main foil here. So we've got a 400 grit sand block. Again, just put a little water on it, and we just want to get that surface nice and roughed up. We're going to go ahead and shoot the activator and epoxy together on our cardboard piece right here and start mixing. This has about a 25-minute window before completely activating and hardening. So you do have a little time before it's too late. And how we're gonna apply it, we're gonna apply a thin layer of film and then keep building on top of it. But we don't wanna put enough to where it's going to squeeze out when we put the winglet on, because we do not wanna get this on any of the shiny surfaces, as it will be nearly impossible to remove, but you know, with a little brake cleaner or paint thinner, it will come off before it sets. But again, be very careful while doing this. Again, start with a thin layer of film and make sure to cover all of the mating surfaces and then keep building upon that. And this is what the epoxy is going to look like on the winglet side there. So just to show you how much we put on there, that's going to be a great example. And then we're just going to go ahead, line it up, and press it very hard against the wing foil. And we're going to want to hold a steady pressure here. Again, it's very cold in here. We're going to sit here for about 5 to 10 minutes holding this pressure. And if you've got a professional body shop, you should have some clamps to go ahead and hold this together. We recommend having constant pressure again for at least 10 minutes. And the dry time is probably going to be around 25 to 30 minutes with a cure time of less than an hour. While Lester preps the trunk, just want to show you guys, we do have some painter's tape on the winglet to the wing, just like a windshield. So he had held this for about 10 minutes. It is nearly fully set, but just for safety, we have that tape on there. You can leave your T-clamp on as well, but again, just for safety, we do have the tape on it. And this is a common practice, again, when shooting windshields and other adhesives. And we are on the final part of this install, where we are finally taking the wing with the winglets and sliding it into the brackets that are mounted to the car. And we'll show you guys where those screws mount up, but it's just as easy as that. And now we've got 4 of the Allen screws to be used for the brackets. And just like we said in the middle of the video, this is why the holes are going to face inward, is so that the screws can adapt to the bracket that is inside of the wing and the bracket that is on the chassis. All right, guys, we're going to finally close the trunk here so we can get the full effect of our fully installed Extreme Online 2020 to 2025 Chevrolet Corvette C8 Stingray or Z06 carbon fiber high wing. And Lester is just using some detail spray to wipe it down if you got any fingerprints on it. Well, there you have it, guys. Behind me, we've got the 2020 to 2025 Chevrolet Corvette C8 Stingray Z06 Z07 carbon fiber high wing by Extreme Online Store. We just showed you guys every single A to Z step. Thanks again, guys, for watching this video. Again, we're Extreme Online Store. Check us out. We have a ton of Corvette C8 carbon fiber parts, and expect more stuff like this coming soon when the new Corvette comes out.